watch episode 45 of Pokemon every year because I watch every episode of Pokemon every year. In episode 45, The March of the Exeggutor Squad, magic isn't real. Ash and friends arrive in a town with no name at the same time as a carnival, which is code for another Japanese festival whose cultural significance isn't worth respecting. As the boys go off to boogie down, Misty ventures behind the scenes and bears witness to an unpaid labor dispute. Instead of offering aid to the aggrieved assistant, Misty approaches her employer, Melvin, who puts the ick in magician. He also puts the ick in anti-Semitic. The Woody Allen wannabe stretches out his arm toward her, calling her beautiful and kind before collapsing in the dirt. The New York native sulks in self-pity, manipulating a child into helping him achieve his Vegas dream. In the original dub, he was aiming for Broadway, but they changed that for some reason. Misty is forced to flaunt her figure in front of an audience of adult men and her only friends for the sake of another adult man's failing small business again. As his assistants, Misty and Pikachu just stand there as he performs magic not with abracadabra or alakazam, but with eggs. Execute are not magical, nor are they an active part of Melvin's act either. Execute isn't actually eggs or cute. They're just big seeds. Who's that Pokemon? An eggplant. From the crowd, Ash and Brock criticize Misty for trying to help a stranger. Melvin responds to the hecklers by roasting them, literally. He laughs it up as he lights up the crowd. Subdued by the sprinkler system, the hostile audience resumed their hostility, ending the show early. If not for the sprinklers, Melvin would have let them all burn. Fired by the fat Führer, the failed performer flounders, flatly giving up on all of his dreams. Melvin puts the ill in illusionist and the loose in illusionist and the Zionist in illusionist. Triggered by a shared sense of defeatism, Ash intervenes and involves himself in the drama of live entertainment. In an attempt to teach Melvin how to exploit Pokemon for financial gain, Ash appropriates another foreign culture, performing tricks that make others appear problematic as well. After inflicting burns, Ash also offers laughter, but the prestige is the exploitation of his three most emotionally vulnerable Pokemon. They are the power that's inside. Suffering under the cruelty of shared confinement, they free themselves, and Charmander lets out another expression of its anguish. Ash contemplates how to best exploit the cracked half-dozen, and they express their anguish towards him as well. His brain both fried and scrambled, Ash is now even more susceptible to the will of others. The magician smiles again. His entire demeanor shifts and he is swift with his commands. Now Ash has a master. Confused as to what happened in the last scene, Misty and Brock share a flashback to minutes prior. Melvin takes the no out of hypnotism. Subjugated to the will of another, Ash commands his starters to exhaust themselves to capture an entire squad of Exeggutor. Melvin had hundreds of Pokeballs ready to go, but no money to pay his assistant. To him, nobody matters. As he ideates the extent of his enslavement, the lesser evils arrive, trying to force him to let go his egos. Melvin is easily overpowered, and to defend itself, his Execute evolves into another Kantoan Exeggutor and escapes with the whole squad. The tropical trees trample their way to the township and destroy the monuments of their oppressors. Now nobody has a job. Bracing for a second Passover, physically unfitler preempts their return with a time bomb. Melvin again reverts to impotent ignorance, and it falls to the victims to save them all. Wordle, Bulbasaur, and specifically Charmander are pushed past the point of exhaustion for the third time, but the Loco Cocos are unbothered by the elements they are comprised of, and it falls to Charmander alone to end the threat. Vulpix won't appear again for 12 more episodes. Without complete control or authority, Melvin refuses to even attempt to help. He is only proficient in his ability to prey on the pity of preteens. But after seeing Charmander struggle to subdue the herd alone, Melvin doesn't feel empathy, but he does see another opportunity to make the world burn. He spams his raging fire against all of his own Pokemon. All of the Exeggutor are his. He could have just returned them all to their Pokeballs this whole time. Melvin takes full credit for solving a crisis that he created. Every time he smiles, I feel pain inside. Charmander lets out a final sigh and says its name for the last time. From its sacrifice, Charmeleon rises. Reborn and renewed, it is embraced by its master, but it does not return the sentiment. After an entire episode of its exploitation and underappreciation, they all laugh at Charmeleon's first outburst, ignorant of how all of their actions in the series thus far have set in motion the sequence of events that will lead to Ash's downfall. Fire cannot be controlled. The evolutions of both Exeggutor and Charmander were prompted only by their need for independence from the ineptitude of those that they are forced to serve. The only real magic in this episode is their shared expression of agency. Magic isn't real, but self-determination is. As they leave the remains of a once thriving center of commerce, Ash and friends offer Melvin empty platitudes in the hopes that those would be the last words that they'd ever have to share with him. The magician waves back at them as his horde of unruly Pokemon still roam free, ready to destroy the rest of human civilization. Ready for the day when all are treated equally and respectfully. To be continued.